Hello everyone, it's sunrise right here now, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something that many has asked me about and that I haven't touched upon just because it's not really directly related to solar, and that is how to run a company in Thailand. It's obviously a very big subject, and there's so many things to cover, but I thought I would cover something about staff today. Now, obviously, when you have staff in Thailand, it's not the same as having staff in another country. It's different processes. There's different things to consider. One of the main things I would say is that don't use theory too much. Meaning, when you are running a business or trying to run a business, if you say that all staff have to be according to Western ideas of how they should be acting, in terms of everything, in terms of habits, in terms of hours, in terms of thinking, everything like that, then you have a big problem. So I would say the first advice is, or general thinking when you have a business or staff in Thailand, is to treat everything more after experience. Try different things, change different things, and then observe what those changes do. How do staff react when you do this? How do staff react when you do that? And it can be extremely different. In the West we have fields of study about cultural psychology and business psychology, and all about topics like how to motivate workers and all these things. And if you think that they are culturally universally applicable, then you have no chance, because they are not in most cases. Or at least you cannot assume that they are. Some things are, but many are not. So you have to work more after experience and see what works, and then take that. I have so many examples of this. I don't even know where to start. But, with our company, the company that we have now, we have been through so many years just finding staff that we can work with. And that's one thing in Thailand, that it's not easy to find staff that actually want to do somewhat similar to what you are doing. It doesn't have to be complete overlap. Obviously, you can ask the staff to change on certain things, but you have to have an overall understanding that is somewhat similar. And that took us many years and many problems. And those problems can be very complicated and sometimes very easy, very simple. Can be just related to personalities or lack of knowledge, or it can be related to more complicated factors like relationships between age groups and stuff. Like in Thailand, obviously, many of you know that have lived here, that age means a lot, more than a lot. So to put somebody in charge that is less younger, you have a problem already. Sometimes you might be able to overcome it, but you are fighting against processes that are very strong. So you can already there have a problem. Maybe the person that you assign to be a boss, he will accept it, but the older guys will not be able to work properly, just because to take orders from somebody younger is just so difficult for them. It's unbelievable. And that doesn't necessarily show direct. It will show in other ways. In bad work, in loss of hours, in loss of energy, in sickness, in all these things. So try to work with the processes that are already in the country. Many of these things are obvious, but I know they are not obvious in practice, because when you look at how businesses are run in Thailand, you see that people are actually trying to run businesses upstream, so to speak, against the cultural processes, and it just doesn't work in the long term. So, and it takes a long time to find the workers and to find a dynamic that actually works. And then over the years that have passed since those things started to happen, of course you can see things more clearly that you couldn't see in the beginning. Many examples of that. Can give you an interesting example. That is, I wanted our guys to learn more about tiling. We had a few guys that were okay in tiling. And then I had an external guy came in that was very good. He was a local guy, extremely good at tiling, and he knew everything about tiling. I knew that because I had seen his work. The problem when he came in is that my foreman was not interested in learning from him. Many reasons for that, but he didn't tell me that, because to tell me that would be going against what I said, and he didn't want to do that. So instead it became this kind of negativity through the course that displayed in other behavior, you know. And then the whole course just flatlined. It didn't work because of that and many other things. So that's just one example of many things where you have to do things a bit differently. You have to think differently around learning, around, you know, how are the guys going to develop and things like that. So so it's a balancing act between accepting things when they are not the way you want them to be 100%, and also about getting the most out of them. But if you squeeze them too hard, they're just gonna go away. And that's another thing in Thailand that people do, is that if you squeeze them too hard, meaning if you push them too hard, then they will just run away. This is like strategy from Thai workers, and there's many reasons for that, but obviously you don't want that to happen. So yes, you have to push them, but if you push them beyond what they are able to do, both mentally and physically, or either, then you will lose them. They will just go away. And that will happen more often if you have workers from other areas. So that's one way that we counter that, is to have local workers a lot. And also be very wary of these kind of cultural processes. But we have to obviously squeeze them a little bit, because if not, they will never, you know, we need some development, we need some, you know, progression. But at the same time, you have to be, if you squeeze them too hard, they will disappear. And I've had that happen a few times, because if you never have it happen, then you are not doing enough. You know what I mean? So you have to push the border sometimes, but not too often, because obviously then the business will disintegrate. So it's a balancing act. Now somebody may be surprised that when I talk about tiling, you know, because why are we doing tiling? Because it's a solar company. Actually, many years ago, we did a lot of stuff like that. We made a swimming pool, construction work, and we do it sometimes still. And actually, that's another point in doing a business, that you need many different kinds of aspects. If you only have one aspect, it's kind of hard to survive, at least when you try to make a living out in the countryside in Thailand, just because, well, now we are okay doing only solar, but in the past, like looking a few years back, it was good to be able to take different kinds of jobs also, construction. But with solar, you must have construction knowledge. If you don't, you have no chance. You must have it. That's the foundation of everything you do in solar. To have an understanding, and workers that have an understanding of construction and roofs. So that's sort of the foundation. So we have to have very knowledgeable construction workers. Obviously, especially on roof, but also on other things. Just because it's needed. Not necessarily in, you know, not on every system, but sometimes, like to do a ceiling repair or to do steel work, to be able to, you know, do basic steel work and woodwork. If you don't have that, so that's why solar is very interesting. It's because you need a lot of knowledge about different areas. You need construction. You need obviously specific solar knowledge about panels and tilt and energy levels and blah blah blah. But not only that, you also need a lot of IT knowledge, like because these things communicate via the internet, and then so you have to understand local networks, how to set that up, how to change them when that's needed. Basically how internet at residential homes work properly. And there's a lot of specific information. Now, I was lucky in that sense because when I started out in Thailand, I helped a lot of foreigners with computer problems and installed also quite a lot of Wi-Fi systems in different parts of Thailand. So I have a lot of experience with that, and it is actually needed. Give you an example. Some inverters are not able to take Wi-Fi 5 networks. So let's say a customer is using a router that combines different networks into one, which actually some routers do, then you will not be able to set up your solar system. So then you need to go into the router. You need to either delete the network that's already there or create another network that is using only the 2.4 band, and then you can connect the inverter to that. So then you have to understand how to do those things in the router. So another aspect, of course, it's helpful to understand Thai. I would say in the countryside it's a necessity. In the big cities, to run a company without speaking Thai is possible, but not in the countryside, I would say. So because out here, for us, I have to be able to speak Thai with the guys. So that's definitely very, very important. Almost impossible to run a company in Thailand in the countryside if you don't speak the language. So what else? I think that's enough. I mean, the video becomes too long. So there's many different things. Actually, my background is psychology. That's my university education, and I've also studied ethics and morals and things like that. So at least I have a experience and education with dealing with human behavior. Doesn't mean I do everything correct, absolutely not. But it's about understanding what happens when you do wrong. And of course, sometimes you just have to accept that things go wrong and you have to start over again, so to speak. And then you need good people around you, you know, like my wife, she does the accounting for the company and she does an amazing job. So without her, everything would be extremely difficult. So you also have to have a good group around you. And then obviously over the years, the staff becomes really good too. Like, because we are running it properly, or at least more properly than some others, we are able to keep the staff. And now we have had the same staff for, you know, many years now, with almost no turnover at all. So, and that obviously creates a group that's really good. So it just gets better and better. So, but it's a lot of hard work, that's for sure. So that's why we're up at sunrise today, and a lot of work today. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys. Take it easy.